If you followed photography related content on YouTube in 2024, there was one trend that was almost impossible to avoid. And what was that trend, you might ask? Well, it was the digicam. And there was a reason why the digicam came back. If we believe in the YouTube titles, these digicams were supposed to give you endless amounts of film-like photos. But of course, when there's a trend, there's also the opposition. So after a while I started seeing these videos on YouTube titled something like you don't need to buy a digicam, or the digicam was just a fad. But the point of this video is just to give my thoughts if the digicam was a fad for me, or if it was just a momentary lapse of reasoning because I was brainwashed by all these YouTube videos. So let's dive into the world of digicams one more time on this channel so I can give my own thoughts if the digicam was a fad or if it's really a thing you should buy to your camera collection. And just for disclosure, the digicam I bought was the Konica Minolta Xt, which I had no idea what it was before I saw it in the thrift store, and I decided to pick it up because it was still in its original box. And I guess that is kind of one of the reasons for this digicam trend, is for you to go into thrift stores or to your parents or other relatives' houses and finding these old cameras and putting them or giving them like new life. So I think like there are people who have sought after like really expensive and good digicams, but I think the reason why I like this trend is just you make do with what you have. But of course, the best way to talk about cameras is to show what kind of images it produces. So here are some sample photos I've taken in the last 6 months with this camera, pretty much as my so-called daily driver. And just for note, these pictures have been edited a bit in Lightroom, but nothing too radical. But let's get into it. So starting off with this image that has been taken in bright sunlight and with these very dark shadows cast. This is probably what people imagine when you say that it produces film-like photos. If we can zoom a bit into the details, there is some halation and chromatic aberration that you can see easily. And here is a photo taken with the flash. Just a thing of note when buying a digicam, these cameras are pretty useless in low light without a flash. And here is just a picture taken at a bar with pretty like low lighting. And here the flash is fired, but of course it doesn't carry all the way to the person playing pool. So here is what a person pretty much looks like with this camera. I've noticed with this Minolta is that people tend to look really red when shooting with this. I don't know if it's in like a color profile or anything else like that, but the skin always looks red or orange. And here's an example of a picture that has been taken in a brightly lit museum. And even if my little digicam is only 3.2 megapixels, you even still zooming on the dog, you can still see how the detail gets captured. And here is a photo taken outside just after some rain, so it's a bit dark but also still bright. And because you have no ability to adjust the shooting settings, the camera gives you what it decides to give you. As you can see from the sign on top of the roof that the rainbow is leading into, it has been burned out, but because you cannot adjust it, well, then you have to live with it or try to fix it in post. And here is a bit of an more interesting photo that has been taken with the long shutter time without the flash firing off. So it was just a car going past and I just had the camera in my hand, which explains the shakiness. But even like long exposure photography is possible with a digicam, but you need a tripod for that. And these are probably the favorite kinds of photos I've taken with the digicam, is with the sunlight and the shadows. But here as well you can see how the drab after rained Helsinki looks very lively, because the digicam makes the colors in the photo pop, like the trees or the bag or the red marquee that's in the background. And this is an example of how the flash is not always really overpowering. Here you can of course see that the flash has fired, but it's only highlighting the things I wanted to highlight, which is the sunflower and the person in the frame. And I really like this image. And if you took a really quick glance at this photo without zooming in or anything, you would have no idea that this was taken with a digicam from 2003 or not a DSLR or a smartphone or something like that. And here the film-like quality kinda comes into the frame, from the sun streaks on the table to the chromatic aberration or the shadows turning a bit red. This just screams a film. Here's an example how the digicam turns like a really bland or normal photo into an interesting one just because of the qualities it shoots with. And here is a low light photo taken without the flash, which requires some steady holding because the shutter time is really long. But I think this turned out fine, and even if you zoom in, you can see how the details got captured even with the ISO and other adjustments really at their limit. This is one of my favorite photos I have taken with this digicam. This is actually at early morning, before the sun has risen, and the digicam decided to make this photo a silhouette photo, and I'm glad that it did, because everything in this photo, the little lights at the bottom turning a bit greenish instead of just plain white, make this photo have that film feel or something of like a neo-noir feel even. So based on all this, I'm definitely not the one to give a definitive answer if the digicam trend was a fad, but after using my digicam daily for half a year, all I can say is it's definitely a fun thing to have in your photo arsenal. That little digicam has become a so-called daily driver for me. I used to carry a Sony RX100 Mark I around, but something about the digicam and its image quality or the lack thereof, maybe it's just my preference for the photo style being all grainy and little lo-fi, but it's definitely worth giving a shot if you're bored of taking really like clinical quality photos with your smartphone or with a DSLR. I bought mine for 20 euros, but if you manage to find one from your parents or your friends or something like that, then it's definitely just a win-win to try it, because you might, like me, fall in love with the style that these digicams produce. I don't think there's anything left for me to say. If you have any questions regarding or experiences of using a digicam, then comment below. I'll be happy to read them and answer every question to my best knowledge. But thanks for watching this video, and I'll hope to see you in the next camera related video that I do. But until then, let's say digicams are gonna be a big trend in 2025 as well. It's a mouthful, but just say it, I'll take the photo.